I remember going to the zoo as a child and watching the chimpanzees playing on the ropes in their enclosure and asking my mum when they would become human. I couldn't wrap my head around our relationship. I knew we were related, but I didn't understand how. Today, I want to explore why this innocent question reveals some of the most common misconceptions about evolution. The first misconception is that evolution has a direction. The idea that chimpanzees will someday become human represents one of the biggest misconceptions about evolution, that it has a predetermined direction or goal. Lots of people think about evolution as a linear progression where primitive animals inevitably evolve into more advanced ones, with humans at the very top. But reality is far more interesting. Evolution isn't a ladder, but it's actually a web or a huge branching tree. Each species is adapting to its own environmental pressures, not towards some universal ideal. A shark is just as evolved as a human. It's simply adapted to a completely different set of challenges. To better understand evolution, let's look at how it actually works. Evolution operates through natural selection, so variations that help organisms survive and reproduce tend to be passed on from generation to generation. Now, over time, helpful traits become more common in a population. You can think about the classic example of the peppered moth in England during the Industrial Revolution. Before factories darkened the landscape with soot, light-coloured moths were common because they blended in with light-coloured trees. As pollution darkened the trees, darker moths gained an advantage. They were much harder for birds to spot. Within decades, the population shifted dramatically from mostly light to mostly dark-coloured moths. This wasn't a goal. Moths weren't trying to become darker. It was simply that in a changed environment, different traits offered better survival odds. The second misconception is about our relationship with chimpanzees and other primates. We're not more evolved than chimps, we're just differently evolved. Humans, chimps, and bonobos all descended from a common ancestor species that lived millions of years ago. You can think of it kind of like a family. Chimps aren't our grandparents or direct ancestors, they're more like our cousins. We share a common grandparent species, but our lineage is split and developed independently for millions of years. Our DNA is remarkably similar, about 98.8% identical, but that small 1.2% difference led to a dramatic divergence in our evolutionary paths. Evolution doesn't create better organisms, just better adapted ones for specific environments. A polar bear is well adapted for the Arctic, but would fare poorly in a desert, while a camel thrives in the desert, but would really struggle in the Arctic. Human intelligence has certainly opened up remarkable opportunities for our species, but it doesn't make us more evolved than other creatures. A tardigrade can survive in space, extreme temperatures, and radiation that would kill humans instantly. So, from a survival perspective, who's really more advanced? So, the next time you see a chimpanzee, remember they are not your ancestors, nor will become human, but they're your distant cousins. They're not on their way to becoming human any more than we're on our way to becoming something else. We're all current endpoints of our own unique evolutionary journeys, adapted to our own ecological niches. Evolution isn't a ladder or a straight arrow with a direction and humans at the top. It's an ever-branching tree with millions of successful adaptations, and maybe understanding that makes the natural world even more remarkable than the misconception I had as a child.